We African Americans often use Black History Month to reflect on how far we've came. But what if how far we've came is merely an illusion created and maintained by showcasing Black millionaire celebrities in the media that actually makes up less than 1% of the over 55 million African American population? And what if in reality, the truth is that the African American culture has actually moved backwards instead of forward? The white oppressors have us thinking that we're moving forward when we're in fact are moving backwards. Look at the facts. During the 1960s, African Americans implemented the most successful unified protest in U.S. history. Today, we are now more divided than at any previous time in U.S. history. During the 1960s, we African Americans unanimously agreed that white oppressive forces were our worst enemies. Today, millions of us are insisting that it's we that are now our worst enemies. In 1965, the out-of-wedlock birth rate of African American babies was 25%. Today, it's over 72%. During the 1960s, we unanimously agreed that we came from Africa. Today, millions of us are insisting that we're not Africans. We're in fact more confused about our identity than at any previous time in history. During the 1960s, we called ourselves brothers and sisters, and we called our oppressors crackers. Today, we're calling ourselves niggers and bitches, and we're calling our oppressors white people. Clearly, we've been made to respect ourselves lesser and to respect our oppressors more. This is not improvement. During the 1960s, millions of African Americans were demanding Black liberation. Today, most African Americans only want a comfortable position within the system of white supremacy. In fact, many African Americans literally become annoyed whenever Black liberation is even mentioned. Many often say that they don't hear that Black liberation shit. The absolute facts are that the African American culture has fundamentally changed 180 degrees from what it was during the 1960s. It's never a normal occurrence when a culture changes to a direct reverse from what it was. Moreover, the African American culture has clearly changed in ways benefiting the white society. It's always by deliberate design whenever the oppressed changes in ways benefiting the oppressors. These noted changes within the African American culture are the deliberate result of an ideological subversion system deployed in response to the unprecedented unified Black protests of the 1960s. Ideological subversion is an offensive psychological warfare tactic that uses disinformation and misinformation as a weapon to manipulate a targeted population to think and behave in ways that are against their own interests. It is a nefarious social engineering technique that involves altering the mindsets of a targeted population in ways that serve the objectives of the ruling class. The purpose is to attack the targeted population at a psychological level in a bid to destabilize and undermine their entire structure. It's a well-proven system that is an essential part of modern information warfare. It works by spreading so much disinformation into the Black communities until virtually everything that the African American population believes are lies that hinder our liberation. It confuses the Black community to such an extent that we're no longer able to unify ourselves against the white establishment. We're not able to come together in interest of defending ourselves or our communities. The ultimate goal is the complete collapse of the Black population. When the blatant white racist subjugation tactics used in the past against the African American population resulted in unprecedented unified Black protests that threatened the peace and stability of the white society, the white oppressors did not abandon their practices of subjugating Black people. The white society is secretly unrelentingly committed to the preservation of maintaining its social dominance over its Black population. They therefore instead merely developed a more covert and more sophisticated method for subjugating black people. This modern subjugating system is so sophisticated that when comparing it to the old segregations of the past systems, one could say that the old tactic had a GED and this modern tactic has a PhD. It's the most proficient method used for subjugating African Americans. Because unlike the past blatant subjugation tactics that we were able to easily identify and therefore unify ourselves against and develop counter strategies against, this system is not easily recognized, nor is it easily comprehended by its black victims. The white oppressive subjugation of black people always works best when the black victim no longer recognizes how it works. This system allows the white society to continue its subjugation of the black population while simultaneously manipulating the black population to perceive ourselves as being our worst enemies. White oppressive forces are playing chess while the black masses are not even playing checkers. We're playing hopscotch. However, black people's cluelessness of what's being done to us is not because we lack intelligence. It's because our so-called black leaders are controlled by the white establishment that mandates that they keep the black masses' attention away from any endeavor that can lead to true black liberation. Those puppet leaders are limited to only foot marches and speeches every time an innocent black person is killed by a cop. That's all they're there for. They get the illusion, but they're not about liberation. The greater threat against black people are not the KKK and not the skinheads. It's actually white social engineering scientists and white propagandists that perpetually manipulates our collective minds to think in ways that are against our own interests and that instead serve the interests of the white society. We must elevate our minds to see this. We must elevate our minds above a biblical fairy tale and a silly slave syndrome myth, which are being used to distract us from the truth. We must learn the truth of what they've done to us in response to the unprecedented black protests of the 1960s. This is what they formulated after the Kerner Commission made their conclusion. Because we've been socialized to put more focus on being holy rather than being critical thinkers, we are therefore easy victims of the white oppressive forces that have studied how to manipulate the group minds of large targeted population by exploiting what is called the herd mentality. The herd mentality is the tendency for people's behavior or beliefs to conform to those of the groups which they belong, even when those beliefs are idiotic. Black people, it's really time to wake up. It's time to wake up. We must stop believing in things that insult our intelligence and learn the truth of our planet condition. One love and peace.